All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo flying solo once again this week. Mr. El Comandante Daryl Ortiz, he has a well-deserved vacation this week, so looking forward to getting him back next week, just in time for, I believe, it's Saturday night's main event. And here's what I'll start off by saying: I feel like the PLEs and the special events, obviously Saturday night main event isn't a PLE, but it's kind of considered to be like a special event or a special attraction. They're happening with so much frequency now. We just came off of Backlash. Now we've got Saturday night's main event coming up on Saturday. And I believe a week after that, we have Clash in Italy. So you have all these bigger events that are just kind of happening one after the other after the other. So it feels a little bit rushed right now in terms of storytelling and storylines. But let's get into what happened on Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown on Friday. So Raw opened with Roman Reigns basically saying that he's going to get Jacob to acknowledge him before he fires Jacob, before Jacob loses his job. I guess that was kind of the theme, that he's going to get him to acknowledge him. And then we'll pay that off at the end. First match of the night was six-man tag. It was the Vision versus the Street Profits and Joe Hendry. This one was good, but they did have two long commercial breaks throughout it. And then, of course, it had to end with some controversy because during the match, Seth Rollins appeared and ambushed Braun Breaker, which allowed the Street Profits to get a surprise roll-up win. There was a big brawl that ensued afterwards. This stuff was fine. It just kind of gives everybody something to do. You got the Street Profits working towards the tag titles, obviously, which the Vision hold right now. And Joe Hendry's just kind of in the mix because it's Joe Hendry and Logan Paul feuding, I guess, is where it's at. But this one was fine. Again, good match. Then next out, we had Penta, who came out and he called out Ethan Page, which is kind of, it's odd for the champion to be calling out Ethan Page. But it is what it is. Ethan Page came out, basically just talked a bunch of crap, said that he's Canadian, and then called out Penta for a title shot at Saturday night's main event. Then Rusev came out and interrupted, took exception to Page getting a title shot. And then you had Javon Evans come out, and then everybody brawled. And I was like, oh, we're going to get a tag match? No, we did not get a tag match. Instead, we got Rusev versus Javon Evans, which was really good. It was a really good match, really fun. Evans hit the OG cutter for a clean win, no controversy, no shenanigans, nothing like that. So this was all good stuff. This is probably my match of the night, to be totally honest. After this, you had Brie and Paige out, and then they did this really awkward promo calling out the Judgment Day. It sounded very amateurish. They really fumbled a lot of their lines during the promo. I was not a fan of this at all. And then you had Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez out to trash talk. And then Brie called their group the Judgment's Day by accident instead of the Judgment Day. It was just kind of cringy. And then they have brawl ensued. Liv Morgan came out to help her team. They cleared the ring, take out Paige and Brie. The crowd really wasn't into it at all. Judgment Day stood tall at the end. And this was a really pretty weak segment. And it's funny because a statement, I think it was on SmackDown, that Brie and Paige had made this comment about, they had worked so long to get the tag titles. And I'm sitting there thinking, what do you mean you guys worked so long? Because we've been working for years to get the tag titles and we're not going to give them up. I'm like, you guys were an impromptu tag team at WrestleMania and won immediately. There was no years long work as a tag team to try to win the tag title. So the fact that they made that comment was ridiculous. Whoever was writing for them shouldn't have put that in there because it's clear that those two were not working for a long time as a tag team and spent years trying to earn those tag titles. Ridiculous, a stupid thing to say. And again, I think that I believe was on SmackDown is what I think that was. Let's see. After this segment, that was the Paige and Brie. You had Roman and Jimmy, and then Jacob has to acknowledge him, or he's kind of out of here. He's getting fired. Still continuing with that. Then you had Io Sky versus Sol Ruka, and then commentary did mention that Asuka's future was unclear and that she appeared to say goodbye. So they're kind of playing into it as well. It's like this sounds more like it's a storyline versus Asuka actually quitting or having her last match. This was a good match. Io Sky countered the Soul Snatcher with a surprise roll up and ended up getting the win, and she won clean here as well. So that was cool. Then you had the Open Femi Open Challenge, and then they basically nobody answered the Open Challenge, and so they squashed Los Garza backstage before dragging them out to the ring and wrecking them. This goes back to WWE hates real tag teams because Angel and Garza are a great tag team, and they sacrificed them to Open Femi. just like they sacrificed the War Raiders. So they clearly have a problem with real legitimate tag teams. And then you still have, again, Motor City Machine Guns are no longer employed by WWE. The tag champions in all divisions. So the women's tag champions, both the Raw and the SmackDown tag champions, none of them are real tag teams. They were kind of impromptu tag teams. So WWE continues to just bury their tag division. But so this is kind of disappointing to see Angel and Garza getting jobbed out to Obafemi. After this, you had Dominic versus the OG El Grande Americano for the AAA Mega Championship. And then, of course, you had shenanigans at ringside. You had Bruno and Julio, which are obviously Julius and Brutus, that came down to help out with their masks on. And then Rio and Bravo were also ringside. You had the new El Grande Americano interfered, and that allowed Dom to hit the 619 and retain. Lots of shenanigans here, and you kind of expected that. And then the final segment was the acknowledgement ceremony, I guess, where it's Jacob needs to acknowledge Roman. So you had Roman and Jimmy out of the ring, and then you had Jay and Jacob backstage. Jay was kind of following Jacob and trying to talk him out of doing something, tell him to be smart. They ended up brawling, and basically Jay got beat down, and then Solo just marched down to the ring, beat up Jimmy. Jacob marched out to the ring. There's too many Bloodline members. Jacob marched down to the ring and then brawled with Roman. They were using chairs and weapons and everything. And this basically ended with Jacob using the Tongan death grip once again. And then he powerbombed Roman through the announce table and stood tall and held up the world championship. He never acknowledged Roman. Show ended, so we haven't ended this storyline of Jacob pursuing the world heavyweight championship, it would appear. I'm not super into this one. I mean, I'm wondering how long they're going to continue to drag this out, or they're going to put another match together at Clash in Paris. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, it just continues. Roman versus Jacob, with Jacob not acknowledging him. Then we went to SmackDown, which was in Columbia, South Carolina, and we opened with Trick Williams because that's his hometown, and he got all the love from the hometown crowd. He, of course, played for the Gamecocks, so you had little Yachty out carrying Trick's jersey. You had the Gamecocks mascot was out there doing the whole trip down memory lane. And then he, of course, got interrupted by The Miz and Kit Wilson. And The Miz made fun of Trick. And then the Kit Wilson did some slam poetry. Little Yachty responded. And then he kind of had to respond. He had to restart. So he gave his first line and then gave the first line again. So it was a little awkward. He kind of flubbed it. But basically, they just kind of jawed back and forth with slam poetry. He's threatened to whip Trick in front of his mom, which was crossing the line. And so we have a match right now, Trick Williams versus The Miz. It was fine. You had interference ringside from both Kit and Little Yachty. Trick did hit the trick shot and picked up the win. And this kind of broke the WWE's tradition of making people lose in front of their hometown crowds. So I was kind of half expecting Trick Williams to lose here because maybe he has a bad habit of doing that. But didn't happen. He got to win in his homecoming, so good for him. And then of course you have after this you had Paige and Brie versus Julia and Kiana James, and this is where I had mentioned before that Paige said it took them years to get those titles when clearly they hadn't been working years as a tag team to get the titles. They literally threw together a match impromptu, won them at WrestleMania. They worked for minutes to become tag champions. So hearing her say that was just kind of silly. The match was okay, and it was funny because during the match they were waiting on the hot tag for Brie, and Joe Tessitore was like, "This place is going to explode when Brie gets that tag." And when she got the tag, they barely reacted. And she basically missed a drop kick because she got the tag. The crowd was really flat for this one. Paige did eventually hit the Rampage DDT for the win, which I guess that's her new finisher now, is the Rampage DDT. But the crowd was really flat for them here. They were really flat for the Monday night segment as well. This tag team's not getting a lot of love so far, at least the last couple of shows. Cody Rhodes was out next, trying to convince Gunther to sign the title contract, which is odd. Why would the champ be chasing the challenger around, trying to force him? That seems a little goofy and doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And then we had to watch Cody set up the contract signing tables and set up the chairs for several minutes because he was like, "I'll take care of this myself." I'm like, it's only a 3-hour show, guys. So they got to kill time, I suppose. But he's over there constructing everything. And he's like, "All right." And then Gunther came down and ran down Cody for making everything about himself, which is a good point. Valid point. Cody always has to be dramatic. And then Gunther just asked him to be polite, professional, and say please. And then Cody said, "Please sign this so I can kick your ass." And then Gunther just teased Cody more. And then Royce Keys came down and was like, "Hey, if you're going to keep, slow walking this and you won't sign this, I will." And then Nick Aldis came out and was like, "You have overplayed your hand," which he said overplayed your hand about 5 times throughout the course of the evening to Gunther about this. but he's overplayed his hand, and that if he won't sign, then there's going to be a number one contenders match between Royce Keys and Gunther for the main event. Nick also never has main events booked because every week he goes out and says, "Oh, I've got an idea. This is a good idea. Let's book it for our main event." And it's like, wait a minute, you came into SmackDown, you didn't have any main event booked, and then you wait for people to have conflict backstage, and then you just put together your main event. Not a great way to manage your show, but fine. So that was going to be the main event. Then you had Shinsuke and Tama talking backstage again, and Tala beat up Shinsuke. So there's that. After this, you had Carmelo Hayes versus Ricky Saints. This one was a great match of the night. Unfortunately, we did have two long commercial interruptions, but the match was super intense, highly competitive. But it was a little ruined by the end. Carmelo won with a surprise roll up while Ricky was drawing with the ref. Then he also put his feet on the bottom rope and cheated to win, which he's the face. He shouldn't have done that. And then commentary didn't even acknowledge it. And this is something that WWE is doing a lot now, where they have the faces just doing heel tactics, cheating to win. But then when they cheat to win, they're called smart. And oh, that was really smart. That was a veteran move. And that was brilliant. And I was like, no, it's cheating. Because if the heel did it, you would be talking about how, well, look at this low life. Look at this scumbag. Yeah, he's cheating to win. So the commentary is very inconsistent in how they treat everybody and how they react to things. Either it's cheating or it's not cheating. Either it's a smart move or it's not a smart move. But you had Joe Tessitore talking about what a great tactic it was for Carmelo Hayes basically to put his feet on the bottom rope for leverage, which is again against the rules. But good match, a little bit of a weird ending. Then you had the Danhausen segment. The Minniehausens are on vacation and he's working on something. That was it. Like that, there wasn't really a payoff for that. He's working on doing something, creating something. After this, we had Damian Priest versus Tama Tonga. Long story short, Priest won and then got beat down by Tala and Solo Sikoa. He ate a Samoan spike. It was fine. It's just giving everybody stuff to do. Clearly, the MFTs want to get the tag titles back, so it's kind of what that's leading to. Sami Zayn, after this, was talking to comatose Johnny Gargano, which apparently is back again. We're back to doing this thing where it's Johnny Gargano lying face down on things and staring off into the distance. This is a quick reminder, too, that Tommaso Ciampa and the Motor City Machine Guns aren't good enough to be in the WWE based off the WWE letting them go. And comatose Johnny Gargano is a total fixture of him just sitting there staring off into space, laying on his stomach, which for me is disrespectful. Johnny Gargano, this guy's really great. Johnny Wrestling, they got to find something better for him to do than to just be a running gag of being in a comatose state, which they had him snap out of it for like 1 week and then get beat up by Obafemi, and now he's back to that. So yeah, it's just him being a prop with Sami Zayn talking to him. After this, you had Jade Cargill came out for a promo, and she cut a half-hearted promo about she's going to walk out of Clash of Italy as champion, then got interrupted by Charlotte and Alexa, who coincidentally had a match against Michin and BFABs. This worked out really well. They all jawed, it went to commercial break, and then when we got back from commercial, the match was already going. The match was fine, lots of distractions from Jade throughout this one, and it ended in a DQ when Jade attacked Alexa after she hit the Sister Abigail DDT. Flair and Cargill had a stare down. That was basically it. Obviously, we're heading towards Flair versus Cargill. And then we had our main event, which was Gunther versus Royce Keys for the number one contendership to the WWE Championship. Late in the match, you had Gunther got the sleeper locked in, and then you had Solo Sikoa pop up at ringside and distract Gunther to try to help Royce Keys, and it did allow Royce to escape. Match continued with Solo tossing a chair to Royce, be like, "Hey man, take out Gunther," which he threw the chair back at Solo. He wasn't going for it. This allowed Gunther to take advantage, hit a power bomb on Royce, and get the win. So Gunther officially advances to Clash in Italy. And he's going to be facing Cody. And then Cody popped up, attacked Gunther from behind post match and hit the crossroads, which is, again, total heel move, where Cody pops up and blindsides somebody after their match and beats him up. And everyone's like, yeah, that's right, Cody. And it's like, again, heel tactics. Cody Rhodes has been a heel this entire time, and everybody just glosses over it and acts like that's not a thing. They should really just do an official heel turn with him if he's going to be doing heel stuff, because he had no reason to blindside Gunther other than what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But the face is always supposed to rise above it. The face is not supposed to be out here breaking the rules and doing those sort of things and attacking people and blindsiding people. They're supposed to operate with honor and integrity. Clearly, that's not something that WWE is interested in doing at this point, because all their faces do heel stuff and get pats on the back for it. But whatever. But that's it. So that's what happened. We got our match officially lined up for Clash in Italy, Gunther versus Cody Rhodes, which again, I'm sure Cody is obviously going to retain there, but we'll see. We've got Saturday night's main event coming up next week, and then Clash in Italy coming up right after that. So it's going to be bang bang, a couple of quick ones. What did you all think of Raw and SmackDown? What do you think of that as we're heading into Clash at Italy and heading into Saturday night's main event? What matches are you most looking forward to? Let us know in the comments. We always love to hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And that's what we got for this week. Kept it short and sweet again. Big D will be back. El Comandante will be back next week. So that's what I've got for now. And I'll just end there. So thank you all again for all the support. We really appreciate it as always. And until next week, I've been Michael D'Angelo. Have a great week, everyone. See you soon.